If the war years turned Rosie the Riveter into a heroine, they didn't exactly turn all women into Rosies. For one thing, the vast majority of women took jobs in areas in which they might have worked anyway. Most of the 6 million women who entered the labor force in the 1940s entered in low-level and entry-level jobs. They entered as clerks or clerical workers as government agencies expanded, as healthcare workers when medical personnel left for the war, as child carers and teachers in various parts of the education industry. Increasingly, they displaced men who during the Depression had worked in women's jobs. For example, at the beginning of the war, some 50% of clerical workers had been female. By war's end, that figure reached 70%. Domino-like, women already in the workplace moved into better-paying jobs. Educated white women took positions in white-collar agencies and were replaced in their old jobs by less educated women. African American women moved into nursing jobs and into clerical and factory work that had previously been closed to them. Domino-like, the opportunities for all women expanded. Government efforts to enforce or to invigorate masculinity in this period included as well efforts to support continuing occupational segregation for women, assigning them whenever possible to jobs as teachers, nurses, office workers, and so on, but at the same time retaining men in crucial supervisory jobs, including those of foremen and highly skilled workers. Lucky women managed to find jobs on military bases or military industries that trained women in areas earlier closed to them. They were the Rosie the Riveters. They were attracted by the higher pay and by propaganda that depicted their war work as extensions of the family. These women would serve as helpmeets to their fighting menfolk. And the jobs that they would do in the factory were quite similar, they were told, to the jobs that they had done at home. Our famous Rosie the Riveter was told that cutting metal for aircraft parts was just like cutting a dress pattern. If she could do one, she could do the other. If she could use a juice extractor to squeeze the juice from an orange, she could operate a drill press. It was the same mechanical operation. So at least the propaganda went. The propaganda romanticized work. It told women that they looked cute in slacks. Slacks, of course, in the 1930s had not been appropriate dress for most women. Virtually all the women who entered jobs previously held by men faced discrimination. Male workers who remained in industry only reluctantly trained women for high-skilled jobs because they were determined to return the good jobs to men after they returned. They therefore subdivided tasks to simplify them for women, and though jobs moved from men to women as men got drafted, rarely did men and women share the same jobs. For black women, the situation was even worse. Many industrial plants refused to hire black women at all, arguing that not even white women would work with them. And they routinely gave African American women the most dangerous work. For women, trade unions provided perhaps the most significant gains of the war years. In order to avoid strikes, industry and unions developed what were called maintenance of membership contracts. These contracts required new employees, male and female, black and white, to join the union where they worked. Though union men may not have liked admitting women to men's jobs, they did not want women to undermine them after the war. So they fought for equal wages for equal work in order to preserve men's wages in newly added jobs. At the same time, unions jealously guarded the seniority benefits of the men who went to war. When they returned home, seniority credits would allow them to get their jobs back with additional war service credited. Women, who often eagerly joined unions, found themselves on separate seniority lists with virtually no seniority benefits. The ideal job for Rosie the Riveter, or for the woman who went to work, was a job in a war plant or a shipbuilding enterprise like the Brooklyn Navy Yard. We know a little bit about these jobs because the Brooklyn Historical Society has saved some of the records of women who worked at the Navy Yard. So let's just take a look at those women and what it is they managed to do and how they worked.